Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web-based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida and New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. Today, I want to take a moment and talk about 5 mistakes that people make that can hinder their progress in therapy. In the past, I've talked about how we, and not just me, others too, talk about how important it is that we take care of our mental health and that people take advantage of mental health counseling, which is available to many of us and so much more readily available than many people realize. But I also want to talk about a couple of things that people sometimes do that can make therapy less effective for them. And often, a lot of times I'll get a new client and one of the questions I'll ask is, have you tried therapy before? And they'll tell me, yeah, I tried it. It didn't work. And some of these mistakes are the reasons that a person may go to therapy and it's not as effective as it could be for them. Not saying that everybody makes the same mistake, but a lot of people tend to make this mistake and it gets in their way. So that today I'm talking about those mistakes. But before I get into that, I want to take a quick moment and say, if you are subscribed, thank you so much for being a part of our awesome world. And if you're not yet subscribed, please take a moment and click the subscribe button below so that you can join all this awesomeness. And remember to tick the bell so you are notified when I post new videos so you don't miss anything. And of course, if you'd like to purchase 1 or 3 of my books, also a link below that will take you to a site that shows you all your different options for getting 1 or 3 of my books. All right, let me get back to it. First, people sometimes expect therapy to be a miracle pill. You don't get to come to therapy one day or maybe twice and expect that it will undo maybe 10 years of something that's been growing. Maybe a lifetime of an issue that has not been addressed. Therapy is not a magic pill. When you go to therapy, you and your therapist will work on whatever the presenting or identified issues are, and they will help you develop skills to help you navigate, maybe to help you heal from certain things, to help you change certain behaviors, to help you make certain life changes. There's a lot that your therapist can help you work through. They can help you develop certain skills, especially coping skills, helping people heal. Therapy is good for that. However, it's not a one and done. It's not one of those things where you come today and the therapist says, hey, magic wand, and there you go, you're done. No, it takes some work. One thing I often tell people is that you're with me an hour out of 168, and that's if you're coming to therapy once a week. A lot of people do twice a week. Some people try to do a lot less because of financial constraints. So a lot of the work of therapy is done outside of session. So it's not a magic pill. It's not one of those things where you come today and then I have a magic wand. I wish I had a magic wand. I really do. But unfortunately, we don't. And therapy is not a magic pill. It's not something we're just going to wave a wand or give you a pill and fix everything. 2, they wait until things get so unbearable to that breaking point before they start. 1, you're doing yourself a disservice because waiting too long does not make the issue go away. It just has you suffering a lot longer than is necessary. And it gives you a harder distance to travel, a longer distance to travel to get to that place where you want to go. You don't necessarily have to wait. Couples do this a lot where they will wait to get to go to couples therapy right before they decide to go to a divorce lawyer. That's not what it's supposed to do. What it's supposed to do is help you strengthen what is already working. So you don't have to wait until everything is broken, until there's nothing left to work with. Take the time when you start seeing an issue develop. That is the best time to start therapy. It's not when everything is at the end where you can't even recognize the pieces anymore. It's when you start feeling the cracks, when you start noticing those issues. That's the best time to start therapy. That's not to say that people who wait until the very end, if both parties or if the person involved is committed enough that's not to say that they can't really get the benefits and make it work and get something out of it. It's just, it's not necessary for you to wait until, things break in order to take that step. It makes it harder it gives you much harder distance to travel. And a lot of times people are so tired by that point, and they're unwilling to put in the work because, hey, I've been coming in therapy for 3 weeks or for a month and we're still not, like, that's because you're starting from so far back. That's why it sometimes is harder. It sometimes takes a lot longer to work because you're coming from such a hard place, from such a long distance. So don't wait until it breaks. Once you start seeing the cracks, once you start noticing the issues, that's the ideal time to reach out to a therapist, to reach out and start a therapy. 3, they use it as a crisis bandaid type, meaning that when things are bad, when things really get to that breaking point, we rush in, we go see a therapist, and then the crisis kind of subsides and they get to a calmer spot, they stop. I've had so many clients that they'll come in for 1 or 2 sessions, and just when they're in that crisis mode, when it's like really weighing heavy, and I get them to that place of, okay, we are in a stable spot now, we can kind of work through this, and they start canceling or they start coming up with excuses as to why they can't make it anymore. It makes it harder for therapy to really give you the benefits that you need because you're never really learning the skills. You're just going from crisis to crisis to crisis. The idea, I often say, my goal for my clients is that they don't have to come back. That after we've gone through, maybe they'll come back for something different. But after we've worked through an issue, after we've built and developed those skills, I hope that my clients will keep those skills, will continue to grow and develop those skills so that in the future, when an issue presents or similar issue presents, that they will know how to deal with it. But if all you're doing is coming in for crisis and then stopping when it's time to do the work, it makes it harder for you to really get out of that mode, those situations that keep bringing you into crisis. So instead of just, hey, I'm in crisis, I go to therapy, crisis kind of subsided, I stop therapy. Stick with it. Take a moment and work with your therapist. Address the core issues of why are you always coming in crisis? Why is this always happening? Don't wait until you get into a crisis mode. And when you notice issues, address those issues. Take the time if whatever your insurance is willing to cover, take the time and explore what you can do with that. Therapy is not a band-aid. And with band-aids, it doesn't really fix the problem. It covers it up for a little bit, but soon enough, things will, pop up again and you'll need to be back. Take the time and deal with the issues and stop putting a band-aid on them. 4, they fail to be open and honest in therapy. Your therapist is not there to judge you. Your therapist is not there to say, hey, this person's wrong, this is right, this is wrong. Your therapist is there to help you get to a healthier place, get to where you want to be. If you are not telling them the reason or the full story of why you're there, it makes it harder for them to help you. I've had clients come in and they're holding back because, I don't, that's too personal to tell someone. That's too this, that's too that. For whatever reason, they don't tell you. They don't tell the therapist the full story of what is happening. If you're there dealing with a, depression and you say, hey, it's just work, I got angry or something like that. People come up with all sorts of different reasons to give to their therapist as to why they're there, or as opposed to why they really are there. Don't do that. Talk. If you do that, when you're not honest, when you're not open, you're wasting your time, your resources, as well as the therapist's time too, because a lot of time the therapist could be seeing another client who's open and ready to work on their issue. So the therapist is not there to judge. The therapist is not there to criticize and make you feel bad about there's nothing that you've done that is so bad that the therapist is going to start judging you instead of helping you. the goal, if someone is in that profession, their goal is to help you do better, is to help you be in a better spot. So be honest, be open, because if you don't do that, you're not getting the help that you're there for. You're just there circling, going in circles and not really getting you're not getting what you need to be getting out of it. Be open, be honest. If you're not comfortable enough with your therapist that you feel that you can be honest, maybe what you need is a different therapist. So take the time and do that. Do the research. If you're not comfortable with that person, speak up. You can tell the therapist that you're not comfortable, and they won't take it personal. They will understand that you're not comfortable. They can see what they can do to help you be comfortable, to help you be more open to opening up to them. And if that's not possible, they can also help you find someone else that you can be more comfortable with. But be honest with them. Speak up. Finally, they fail to prioritize therapy. Therapy is not one of those things that you do when you have time, or if today, I'm having a good day today, that's a good day for therapy. No, therapy is something that you prioritize. Once you've decided, hey, I'm going that route, take the time and make it a priority. Schedule it in your calendar, just like you schedule other things. A lot of times, especially after people have gone past the crisis phase, they have the tendency to start putting it off as something that they do, when I feel like it, or when I have time, when things aren't crazy. But if that's the way you take it, if that's the way you work, if that's the way you do it, it's not going to give you the best results that you can get out of it. The way for therapy to work, to give you the most benefits, is when you prioritize it. Because again, 168 hours in the week, you spend one of those with your therapist. The rest of the time you're doing the things that you talked about in your sessions. If you're not taking the time to make it a priority to apply those skills, you're not building those skills. If you're not prioritizing your therapy enough to make time in your week to go to your session, you're not learning those skills. So make it a priority, because, hey, you say it's important to you, then treat it like it's important to you. Okay, let me do this quick recap. 1, people often expect the therapy to be a miracle pill. It's not. It's work. 1 hour with your therapist, followed by whatever work that you agree to do after your session. 2, people try to wait for things to get all the way to the breaking point before they start. No, that's not how it's done. You're suffering way longer than you need to, and you're giving yourself a much harder and longer distance to travel. Go to therapy when you start seeing the issues. That way you have a shorter distance to walk through. 3, they use it as a crisis patch or a bandaid. No, if you keep using it as a crisis patch or a bandaid, you're going to have to keep coming back, because until you learn the skills, until you do the work to deal with the core issues, there's always going to be a reason that you're always going to be back in crisis. 4, they fail to open up or be honest in therapy. The therapist is not there to judge you. They're there to help you with whatever the issue is. But in order for them to address the issue, they need to know what the issue is. So be open, be honest. If you don't feel comfortable being honest with this therapist, maybe you should look at another one. Finally, they fail to prioritize therapy. If it is that important to you, if you believe that your mental health is important to you enough to you that you would look for a therapist, prioritize that. Make time for it. You're not going to just find time to do it. Just make time, schedule it in your calendar, just like you schedule everything else that is important to you. As always, if you or someone you know happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, please remember that there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing to help, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. So please figure out who those people are in your community so that if you need them, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.